Can you imagine, with all the assessments that would have been done by international, non-partisan, non-biased bodies in this country that would have found major corruptions within our government, major corruption within our rule of law? Transparency International came in this country and gave the People's Progressive Party, Civic and Guyana by extension a 38% out of 100% for corruption. The European Union Election Observer Mission came into the country and said the country is polarized. The last election would have been rigged in the favor of the standing incumbent. The Rule of Law Index just revealed Guyana got 80 out of 143 country. Opposition parties continue to point out alleged corruptions in the government, and yet still the president says the government is doing more to advance transparency and accountability, even though just recently when they got that 80 out of 143, the Minister of Governance, Ms. Gilkes, came out and tried to condemn the people's findings. So let's read this article, because it seems like nobody can't assess this government. It's only the PPP can assess themselves. So let's listen to what President Ali would have been saying. Now this is a 17th of November news article. President says government doing more to advance transparency and accountability. You can't put the cat to watch milk, Mr. President. You gotta have a non-biased body that is watching to see if you guys are actually transparent and being accountable. The government can't say if they're transparent and accountable. You can't film a movie and rate your own movie, Mr. President. President Ali has reported progress for the government in advancing transparency and accountability in light of the 2024 Auditor General's report, which was released 2 weeks ago. The report highlighted several breaches with project delays, procurement and delivery issues with the health ministry. In a broadcast this past weekend, the president said there has been a notable decline in problems and transparency and public accountability. He said it points to marked improvement, especially when compared to the period 2015 to 2020. Oh God, President Ali. You still speaking about the period 2015 to 2020. You forgot that the PPP ran the country from 1992 to 2015. And many of the systems that you are trying to condemn APNU for from 2015 to 2020 would have been in existence under the government from 92 to 2015, President Ali. It's like these men only got memory from 2015. No, this is what we're saying, President Ali. Transparency International came in this country and they give you 38 out of 100. The Rule of Law Index just declared that you have 80 out of 143 countries. The European Union Election Observer Mission just pointed out to the fact that the election would have been skewed heavily to your government. That state resources, states assets, and many of the projects that would have been done using the state's wealth would have been blurred in your campaign. Just in the last election on the 1st of September, now all of a sudden, up come President Ali saying that their government is actually doing a lot to ensure transparency and accountability in the past couple of months. Guyanese brothers and sisters, this government believes in the heart of hearts that they could say anything to us at this point and we're just going to buy it. Like once they say it, like once Mr. President said, we're just going to believe it. We're not going to believe Transparency International. We're not going to believe the people that did the Rule of Law Index. We're just going to ignore what the European Union Election Observer Mission just said. We're going to just ignore what the Carter Center found and said. We're going to ignore Miss Isabel Young from Vice News that did that deep investigation into the PPP and would have found alleged corruption surrounding your Vice President, Honorable Dr. Barry Jagdio's name. We're supposed to ignore all of that, along with all the other stuff that all the different oppositions in this party has been alluding to. And we should listen to the PPP, Mr. President, Dr. Mohamed Ifran Ali, rate their own governance. Guyanese brothers and sisters, do you see how foolish this sounds? How can you rate your governance, Mr. President? Is the people have to rate your governance, and there will be no way on earth that this country that is now the fastest growing economy in the Latin Americas, in South America, in the Caribbean, and in many places in the world, that have one of the highest gross domestic product earning per capita, Mr. President. There is no way on earth that these numbers would be like this. And we are amongst the 5 smallest countries in South America, Mr. President. We are amongst the 5 countries with the smallest population in South America, Mr. President. Yet still 48 and 45% of people living at and below the poverty line, Mr. President. We are still living through blackouts, Mr. President. We're still waking up many mornings, no water in the pipe, and we got to prepare to go to work, Mr. President. We are struggling under your government. The people in Guyana are amongst the countries in South America that are paying the lowest salary, but we are awarded the most. The people in Guyana are amongst the countries in South America with the highest rate of poverty, the 5 countries, and we are awarded the most, Mr. President. These things can never happen in a transparent and accountable government. An accountable and transparent government would make sure that the money that belongs to each and every Guyanese per capita goes to them. I do not know where the PPP got this backward governance from, where they believe like if they pay the people fair salary, that Guyanese people can compete and earn, plan for their lives, develop themselves, buy land in the country, build houses in the country, provide a nice social existence for the children. I do not know why the PPP believes if they do this for all of Guyana, for the masses, for the workers, teachers, nurses, police, soldiers, phlebotomists, microscopists, lab technicians, nurse aides, procurement officers. I do not know why the PPP believe if they pay us fair salary, cut down the taxes, put a price control unit at the Guyana Bureau standards, lower the prices on utilities, electricity, internet, and so on, lower the price of land because it belongs to us. I do not know why the PPP believe if they do this, it will be the end of their government. They believe if they actually pay the Guyanese fair salaries, raise the pension for our old people that sacrifice their blood, sweat, and tears and years, take care of the special need people, build up roads and build this community up equitably. They believe if they do this, like they're going to lose the election. I do not know where the PPP got this backwardness from. If you guys treat everybody in this country fairly, as if we matter, as if our sacrifices count, as if our sacrifices and commitment to these systems count, President Ali, we would be praising you. PPP government, Vice President Barjagdio, we will be praising you. We will be singing your praises. But you guys have this backward, old-time politics of where you just have to take care of you, your affiliates and cohorts, and if the rest want to be taken care of, they have to fall in line, have your people selling their integrity. You guys believe in this governance so much that this is why you guys are so corrupt. This is why your government lacks transparency. This is why you see Transparency International give the PPP 38% out of 100% for corruption. This is why Vice News, Miss Isabel Young, came into this country and tied the Vice President to this Sue Jerome in alleged corruption. This is why you see the rule of law. You got 80 out of 143 countries, Mr. President. And this is why the opposition are right now saying that they have found more than $1 billion in overcost to your contractors in your procurement process, Mr. President. You need to stop trying to talk us to death, because we already know you could speak well, Mr. President. You need to speak on behalf of us. Stop speaking over our head. Stop speaking against us and making us feel as if we're losing our mind, as if we are misled. The fact of the matter is this: your government is not governing for all, and it is showing. This is why the international observers can continue to come into this country and expose you guys. And if you do not change it, it's just a matter of time before the country, our paradise, becomes ungovernable, and our children have to suffer as a result of the PPP. This is an eternity. And President defends continuous spending of billions on Gaisuko and sees brighter days ahead for sugar. With the sugar industry bleeding billions of dollars in losses as sugar production remains a record low, President Irfan Ali has expressed confidence that the Guyana Sugar Corporation GuySuCo can make a comeback. In a television interview last evening, the president said there is no question that the industry could be made viable again. The sugar industry, which has been on a downward slope since 2006, has been bugged by administrative, technical, financial, and human resource problems. But even with the sugar industry set to record another dismal year, the president is seeing a brighter side. We have to bring in technical capability to support what is there, and we have the team from India and Cuba that are working now both on the field and in the factory, not doing studies but working to help us build back the system, improve the system, bring efficiency to the system at the field and the factory, the president noted. Brothers and sisters, I do not know what is the government's unhealthy connection to the failing GuySuCo, the Guyana Sugar Corporation, but it seems to me like the government is willing to invest maybe $100 billion of Guyanese wealth into an industry that has been on the decline, that would have been said by this news clip since 2006. It is even alleged that the sugar industry and the sugar corporation, GuySuCo, would have been on a decline ever since the early 2000s. But yet still, for some odd reason, our government doesn't mind pouring money into this Trojan white arse. I do not know why the government continues to try to hold on to GuySuCo. Now I know sugar to Guyana is a very important resource. It's one of our foundational resources. I mean, it's on the coat of arms, for crying out loud. So we know that Guyana has a strong connection to our sugar industry. But when I've been hearing that it is costing Guyana a 36 cents US dollars to produce a pound of sugar, and the sugar is being sold at 12 cents per pound, a little bit higher or lower on the world market, why is the president and our standing government so much invested into continually bailing out GuySuCo? To the sugar workers at GuySuCo, there are other crops that can be planted. There are crops that can be planted that will yield a far higher profit, at least maybe break even enough. And if this happens, it means you guys, the workers, stand a chance to get higher salaries. Why the government continue to hold on to your feet to tell you like sugar is the only crop that you can plant, and the sugar industry is the only industry that you can work in, and that they are the only government that are capable of keeping the sugar industry and the Guyana Sugar Corporation open? It seems to me like it's nothing but politics to maintain and retain the vote of the sugar workers, along with all their family members and everybody in their lives that are affected by them working at the sugar corporation. But brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, the government can diversify. Now in Guyana and around the world, there will always be a need for sugar. We know that. So maybe it's time for the government to consider diversifying, getting another cash crop, some other crop that grows well in that kind of soil, ginger, so anything that can yield a profit, so that the sugar workers, they do not have to suffer the low salaries anymore. Because I am being told that there are many sugar workers and the people that take care of the grounds and clean the fields and, you know, clean the estate and do the brush cutting and do the cleaning and the edging and the trimming and preparing of the area for the sugarcane to be planted. I'm being told that they're paid very low salaries. And it's no wonder, because if we are investing 36 cents to plant the sugar and to manufacture a pound, and we are making 12 cents off of a pound, that means we're subsidizing 2/3 of that industry. 2/3 of the industry. And I do not understand which smart businessman, which smart economist, which smart minister of agriculture, which smart person would continually invest in a failing industry that has failed year after year. And here's the caveat, Guyanese brothers and sisters. The sugar industry is on a decline. And The other day, I would have seen when Minister Mustafa would have given his address to Parliament, he would have highlighted that the sugar industry has made significant increase in the amount of yield that they're getting. 20 plus percent, 26%, 28%, and it said that this year they're supposed to go up at 66%. That is their projection. But what we have to understand is that though these numbers sounds good on paper, when we're paying 36 cents to produce a pound, it means that we are failing continually. It means that the sugar industry, it is not self-sustaining because we have to invest to keep it afloat. And with the cleverness of the government, with the intelligence of our ministers, with the intelligence of our great economists and our Minister of Finances, I wonder why are they holding on to it if it's not political? Why are they continually beating this dead horse? Now, I'm saying again, sugar is important. So, to some degree, sugar will have to always be planted in Guyana. Like I said, it's on the coat of arms. Sugar is one of our premier resources. But right now, I would like to believe, and I'm asking Guyanese brothers and sisters, considering all the things that I've said before and everything that I've said, it's on Google. You guys can check and confirm it. With everything that I've said, don't you think it's time for the government of Guyana to consider diversifying from sugar to another crop that actually yields profit or at least breaks even? So whatever the country invests to plant, they at least get back the money they invested, or even a 10% profit. Because if they get this, it means the sugar workers that are right now believing that sugar is the only thing that you can work, and farming is your skill, farming is your passion. I know that you can plant other stuff, and I'm telling you, sugar workers, that if the government actually diversifies and plant other crops, then you guys stand to gain even higher salaries. I know it's going to take a while, but right through the preparationary stage of leading in and transitioning to planting of a new crop, there's going to be work for you guys all the time. So tell me, Guyanese brothers and sisters, don't you think it's time for the government to consider diversifying? It's not about closing down an industry and leaving people unemployed. We're speaking about diversifying, since we have the wealth to diversify now more than ever. And this should have been done ever since since 2021, 2022. All of these years, these things should have been on the table, and we should have been hearing that the government, the Ministry of Agriculture, are now discussing diversifying from the amount of sugar we produce to that. If it's going to be ginger, if it's going to be ground provision, whatever it is, if it's going to be hemp, because we're hearing hemp is very important on the world market right now. There's so many other things that we could plant. We could plant fruits. The fruits can go into factories and make juices, and the men are still going to retain their job. So Guyanese brothers and sisters, do you think that it's smart that the government continue to invest billions and billions of our hard earning tax-paying dollars, along with the money that we're working to slave out for, to pay for our land and all our wealth, into the sugar industry? And to the government of Guyana, how much more money are you men willing to invest to address the administrative, technical, financial and human resources problem of Gaisuko? Is it 100 billion? Because so far we're hearing that you're investing more than 40 billion and you haven't really gotten back 16 billion. How much more do you men plan to invest into sugar, and are you men planning to actually speak about diversifying, planting another crop, and proving to Guyanese that the government is dynamic and they are capable of adapting to changes, and not just adapting but being creative and creating ways to keep your people employed and pay them better salaries? This is an Eternity Enterprise presentation. Y'all stay safe.